Annyeong! Welcome to Delightful! June is Pride Month, so when Dollmotion suggested we do a Pride collaboration, I was totally on board. I've been eager to make another decor doll anyway, and with the LGBT community's official symbol being a rainbow, it's a match made in heaven. So yes, this is a collaboration with several other lovely doll YouTubers, including Dollmotion, Hextian, Kairo's Workshop, and Moonlight Jewel. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. For now, bring on the rainbows! This time around, I'll be making a male decor character. Since creating Ayako here, I've come to know the Harajuku fashion community a bit better in that I've found lots more fashion icons on Instagram and have thoroughly stalked all of them. For today's doll, I'm drawing a huge amount of inspiration from Jinyan. He's so bright and colorful and confident with his fashion, and he rocks everything from unicorn jumpsuits to pink skirts. I drew up this sketch and just hoped I could make it work out, you know. I don't really have all these fabrics, but I'll try to make something similar at least. Okay, let's pick out a doll. Here's all the dudes I have left to customize. The plan was to use a Deuce Gorgon doll. I've stated it in a previous video that I feel his facial sculpt works well with an Asian face-up. But I feel like I've worked with him too recently. So, you know, he doesn't have to be Japanese. Let's use Claude instead. I always forget how extruded Monster High boy dolls look. Legs for days. Let's give him his makeover. If you've watched a video from me before, you'll know the drill by now. Acetone gets the face off, you chop off all the hair, dig out the hair from the inside, and good, everything's clean. I cut his ears off too. I wasn't sure if I'd use them at this point or not. This Claude has some light blue stains on his face and a small indent right there in between the brows, but that's fine. I actually like the indent because most people don't have perfect skin, so it'll make him look more realistic. Like it's a small scar or something. Since I changed directions and decided to use Claude instead, I drew a couple more sketches. I definitely want him to look like he dyed and styled his natural hair, so I threw out the straight-haired bob in favor of a high top cut. Since there's so much color happening in his hair and around his face and earrings, I thought a natural complexion and eye color would look best. Give the doll a couple layers of Mr. Super Clear to build up tooth on the vinyl head before drawing on it. Don't forget your mask. Dust red and dark brown pastels around the face for a more realistic variation of color. I tend to hit up the cheeks, near the temples, a little on the nose, and the forehead. Then with watercolor pencils, we can start sketching his new face. I start out with a similar color to the skin tone to draw initial lines before committing with darker, more permanent shades. One thing I love about Decora fashion is how everybody looks happy. So I turn the corners of his lips upward by drawing them slightly above where they actually are on the mold. As usual, when I'm referencing a specific demographic, I look at plenty of photos off-screen to help me get the shapes right. A lot of African men have what I think are called deep-set eyes, or protruding eye types, so I wanted to get a nice heavy eyelid look by shading the eyelid crease with several colors for more dimension. Next, I'm adding small touches like pinks and reds to the tear ducts. Then darkening the eyelashes, iris, and eyebrow with a black watercolor pencil. And then coming in with a cream pencil to highlight under the brows, around the corners, and on the cupid's bow. I'm laying it on pretty thick because I know that light colors tend to darken after more sealant goes on. The hardest parts are done, so here on out I darken the eyeliner and the pupils, and add browns and oranges to the irises. He's getting delicate, thin eyelashes with a couple flicks from the pencil. And a little facial hair. Now let's move on to acrylic paint. I add the eye shines and dab on tiny colorful hearts on his cheeks. 2 strokes converging at a tip is an easy way to paint a small heart. And this was smack dab in the middle of his face, which made it a little daunting to add, but with several layers of watered down light yellow, I built up the shape of the Band-Aid. Why a Band-Aid? I'm not really sure, but it does show up a lot in Harajuku fashion. Maybe it sends a message, like I'm tough enough to get into fights, but I'm kawaii no matter what. I have no idea, but it's cute. While the paints are out, I color code his head, which will help guide me when I add the hair. Give him a final coat of sealant, wait for 30 minutes, and then add glossy varnish to the irises to give it that spark of life. I'll be using acrylic yarn for his hair. He's got a cotton candy, blueberry, and strawberry style going on for his high top. So I'll be rooting these colors. To prepare the yarn, I cut small lengths that are double the length of what I want the end product to look like. The yarn as is too thick, so I unravel the strands. I'll be rooting the hair using this tool from the Doll Planet and a number 7 size needle, which has a larger eye. Loop each strand into the eye, then poke it into the head. Because yarn is fluffier and thicker than other kinds of doll hair, I've found you don't need to plug every hole. I still line the hairline thoroughly, but make the inside parts more sparse. The yarn is thick enough that there was no need to cover those ear holes. You can't even see them. I was on the fence about the ears, but decided here to glue them on. I first glued needles inside the ears, then applied a little super glue to the rim before stobbing them into the head. I tried to cut them flush, but there's an awkward gap, so let's fill that with a 2-part epoxy sculpt. Fill the gap and smooth things out with a wet paintbrush by stroking the material into the vinyl. That looks pretty good. And if you mix up too much epoxy like I always seem to do, you can make the earrings and accessories while you're at it. While the epoxy is curing, we might as well finish up his hair. The rainbow stripes are supposed to look like very short hair, so flocking comes to mind. I don't have official flocking, but we can make something similar with materials we already have. I collected yarn and cotton fabrics in the right colors. It doesn't take much. It's easier to make flocking than you might think. Just take your scissors and chew up the material into tiny, tiny pieces. I will say that yarn is much easier to fuzzify than fabric, though. Once you've made a decent amount of fluff, paint some glue on, pick up the flocking, and pat it down into place. Work all the way around and then start the next color. Once the first layer of fluff dried, I came back and added one more on top because it needed 2 layers to really look opaque. This part of the process was really fun because it was just so colorful. The high top looks a little too high, so I trim it down to size and style it with an eyebrow razor. My hope was that by feathering the ends, it would look more realistic. With the hair done and epoxy cured, I can paint the ears to match. And we can also glue on and paint the epoxy earrings. Next up, we've got clothes. I have a basic t-shirt and pants pattern that I ripped from Factory Clothes, see my doll clothes videos for details, which I'm going to modify slightly to fit my design. Oh no, the shirt is too tight on his chest. I don't feel like remaking it, so let's widen the shirt by adding a pretty decorative panel. This is a great example of turning a mistake into design, which happens way more often than you'd think with artwork. I wouldn't have thought to make it like this intentionally, but I really like it. Happy accidents! One of the cutest parts of his outfit are the rainbow suspenders. I begin by curling wire into those clasp shapes with a round nose plier. Slip a length of ribbon into the clasps and sew it closed. Before we connect to the other end, I bring out the paints to turn this red ribbon into a rainbow ribbon. The plan was to include all 7 colors, but I ran out of space, so 6 out of 7 ain't bad. I stitched the clasps to the pants, both front and back, with the front straps still loose. Instead of sewing them in place, I bent a length of paper clip and secured the strap that way, to mimic the look of an adjustable strap. I wish I could have found a rainbow striped cloth the right scale for dolls, but hopefully painting will look just as good. I know it's going to make the fabric stiffer. Here's a pair of sneakers from a Monster High doll. I can't remember whose they were, but I'm going to paint them to be just as colorful and kawaii as the rest of the doll. The pants needed some more pizzazz. If you paint a finished garment, stuff some cardboard inside to steady the fabric and to protect the other side. I think some cute puffy clouds will be perfect. Like the sky and then the rainbows, it works together so well. The socks look too baggy and stiff, so I'm going to go ahead and sew them permanently close to the leg. And that's all the main parts of his outfit done. So from here on out, it's all about accessorizing with as many cute things as possible. We've got beads, kawaii cabochons, miniature food charms, everything we need to deck out our fabulous Decora boy. And with the accessories made, we're done. So I know I took this collab topic pretty literally in that I basically turned the rainbow logo into a character, but I absolutely love him! I love how he still looks like a Claude Wolf doll, but he's gay. He's gay Claude. He's Glod. I'm kidding. I'm naming this character Juan. It sounds similar to Junyan, who was the main inspiration for this doll, but is an African-American name which means just and true, according to the internet, which is a great message for this collaboration because everyone deserves to be just and true to themselves. Just like with Ayako, I had so much fun making this doll because when you're working with bright colors, it puts you in a great mood. I imagine Juan is really into Harajuku fashion, but lives in America, so he's pushing the trend where he lives. I could also see him going to a pride parade dressed up like this with a bunch of friends, you know? That would be so much fun. While I prefer Decora and Fairy Kei fashions among the Japanese street fashion styles, there are so many more and such a huge variety out there, just like with people. So I am very happy to celebrate with you the variety of people in the world. Speaking of which, there's a ton of variety within this collaboration itself. We've got drag queens, Sailor Scouts, and I honestly don't know who Dollmotion made, but I'll be watching her video next to find out. So make sure to head over to my friends' channels and spread the love. There are links to all these fantastic artists in the description box, and there'll also be a playlist you can click at the end. Happy Pride! Stay artsy! Annyeong!